Have you ever taken a loss in trading and then felt angry at the market, angry at someone, or maybe angry at yourself? That feeling, that sheer feeling is known as resentment. Now, most traders thinks their biggest enemy is the market, but what if the real enemy is the resentment building inside their mind, which is causing them to do revenge trading and then further over trading, and ultimately you close your profit day into loss, right? Have you ever come across this situation? If the answer is yes, then that's the topic of the day, that is resentment. Now, how can we grow out of this resentment and how can we tackle it? That's what we are going to understand today. So stay tuned. By the end of this video, you'll have all the answers. Okay, so let's begin without any further ado. As I said, the topic of the day is resentment. Now, even if we can't love our enemies, let's at least love ourselves. Let's love ourselves so much that we won't permit our enemies to control our happiness, our health, and our looks. That means you have to be confident in yourself so that you are secured enough that the external environment is not affecting you in one way or another. That's the word by Dale Carnegie from his book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Now, when you resent people, you're angry at them because they didn't believe the way you wanted them to. Maybe they broke their promises, or perhaps they didn't give you what you expected from them. Perhaps you believed they owed you something, but they failed to deliver. So basically, the crux is you were expecting something from them and you didn't get those things from them. Okay, so the expectation and reality, there was this gap in between, and that leads you to resentment. Okay, it can happen in the market environment as well, but we are understanding it from the general perspective first of all, so that we can reach to the root cause and then we can apply it to the market situation as well. Okay, now resentment often builds up when you fail to communicate effectively with the people you resent. That is, when you didn't tell them you felt hurt or didn't communicate your needs and wants, assuming they would naturally cater to them. It can also grow when you did express your feelings but can't let go of them and forgive. As Nelson Mandela once said, resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. I want to read it again. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it'll kill your enemies. You are the one who is drinking the poison, and then you're expecting and then you're hoping that it will have negative impact on your enemies. It will kill your enemies, which is making no sense at all, right? It just doesn't work this way, right? Now, resenting people. As with any other emotion, resentment will grow in intensity following the formula interpretation plus identification plus repetition is equals to strong emotion. This is something that we have read in the previous chapters as well, right? So this is the general formula, which is first of all we interpret things, then we identify with it, then we repeat it in one way or another, knowingly or unknowingly, then it will convert into strong emotion. Okay, you can resent someone for years for a rather insignificant event based on your interpretation of the event, your identification with the story you are telling about yourself about it, and or the number of times you replay the event in your mind. Let's understand this with the help of an example, okay? Let's say one of your friends betrayed you by not inviting you to a party. In your mind, your friend truly betrayed you and you deeply resent him for it. You can't stop thinking, how could he do that to me? The thought consumes you for weeks and you decide to cut ties with him. Months later, you're still resenting him. Notice that the event in itself isn't upsetting. What creates resentment is your interpretation of the event. Okay, so let's say there is this friend of yours who forgot to invite you, or like let's say intentionally he or she was not able to invite you because of any reason, intentionally or unintentionally. Rather than asking him or her directly, you decided or you interpreted this situation and make it a big deal in your mind. Okay, then you start resenting with the person. It would have ended in very short notice if you should have simply or you would have simply confronted him or her asking why didn't you call me in the first place. You would have gotten your answer, you would have gotten your clarity, right? So that's not generally we do, right? We go the other way around. We We love to build a story in our mind which is mostly negative in nature, but that's not the right way, because ultimately the other person, it is not affecting the other person, it is affecting you only, it is affecting your mental environment, right? Now, is it possible that your interpretation was wrong? What if your friend assumed you wouldn't like the party? What if he thought you were too busy? Sure, he should have at least invited you, but nobody is perfect. If you had, if you'd put aside your interpretation and confronted him at the time, maybe things would have turned out differently, right? Now, the next thing is the danger of letting resentment build up. Now, the danger is in your mental environment, okay? And that's what we are focusing. We are leading to the core of the problem and then we are trying to grow out of it, right? The danger of letting resentment build up. Often, what adds fuel to the fire is your inability or unwillingness to confront the people you resent. Instead of this, you keep revisiting in your mind what you think happened. As a result, your resentment grows stronger as time passes. This is especially true if you regularly interact with the people you resent. Now, this is very important. If the interaction with the other person is on the daily basis, like this is especially true if you regularly interact with the people you resent, then in that case the resentment will build up over the period of time, right? Because you decided not to confront and you decided to concoct stories in your mind, right? So that's how concocting stories leads you at this situation. Okay, how to use resentment to grow? Now we are looking at the answer part, solution part. How can we use resentment to grow? We understood why resentment come into existence in the first place. Now we are trying to understand how can we grow out of it. Okay, resentment occurs when you are unable to forgive and move on with your life. It is the result of being attacked to what was in the past instead of focusing on what could be in the future. Okay, what was in the past instead of focusing on what could be in the future. When you experience resentment, you are provided with an opportunity to to learn how to forgive and let go, and more importantly, how to love yourself. Okay, now you're killing this very opportunity to learn how to forgive and let go, and more importantly, how to love yourself. Because ultimately, when you are building resentment, it is affecting your mental environment only. It is affecting you negatively. Okay, in broader perspective, if you'll think about it, it has all the negative impact on you, not the other person, right? Resentment is here to tell you that you must love yourself and value your peace of mind more than anything else. Peace of mind is should be your priority. Okay, so resentment is here to tell you that you must love yourself and value your peace of mind more than anything else. Your peace of mind must become more important than being right, taking revenge, or hating someone else. Now you can relate to the trading environment as well, right? So if you're calm in your day-to-day life, you are the one who confront people, and you are someone who have clarity of your thought, you have clarity in your mind, you perceive the things the way they are, then this can help you in the mental, this can help you in your mental environment and in the trading environment as well. Now, with this mindset, if you'll enter the market, let's say in one trade, you lost some amount of money, but rather than taking it in a negative direction, you decided to grow out of it. You decided to, analyze it, journal it, and you stick to the rule. Then ultimately, you will become consistently successful trader, consistently profitable trader. But on the other hand, if in your day-to-day life you are like someone who loves to resent people knowingly or unknowingly, and you are not someone who confront the people who don't have any clarity, who don't believe in getting clarity from the other person, who don't believe in letting go of the adverse situation, who who cling to the wrong, you know, what I can say, wrong concocting stories that you have in your mind, then it will affect your trading as well. How? Because let's say similar situation, let's say you lost some amount. Now you lost some amount and you thought the market is your enemy. Now you want to beat the market. But market is nothing but a neutral entity. It is just providing you neutral information. You are the one who is interpreting it in a negative manner, and now you decided to take the revenge from the market, and you decided to overtrade, and it happened so fast, you lost the very essence of the trading, that entering right, buying low and selling high. You just randomly started to take the trade, and now you are in a losing streak. And by the time you'll get the real essence of it, you will have the loss way more than you actually could have, right? So that's why it is very important. You need to have peace of mind in your real life. That's how, when you'll go in the trading environment, you'll have the peace of mind and you'll take the right decision. You'll stick to your rules. You'll stick to the strategy that you abide by, right? So that is very important. You'll not go into the loop of revenge trading and this, what I can say, over trading and stuff. Okay, because trading is a game of averaging, right? Let's say you lost some amount in one trade, but you, what I can say, you journal it, you analyzed it, and next time you entered and you got bigger amount of profit. So when you average out, ultimately you are profitable. But let's say you lost some amount, then you're not able to accept it, you started resenting it, you decided to revenge, like take the revenge in one way or another, and you ended up taking wrong trades, and ultimately you ended up with blowing your account altogether, or having a huge loss in your part. So both the things are like something that you can do worst for yourself only, right? So I said it earlier as well, in the trading environment it is always you against you. So that's why we are covering every emotion, and how can we grow out of the emotion in general life, so that we can apply that in the trading environment as well. So before understanding all the technicalities, we are understanding ourselves first, and how can we master our emotions, and that's the very essence of this series that I am continuing over here. Okay, now your peace of mind must become more important than being right, taking revenge, or hating someone else. In short, moving beyond resentment is making a declaration of love to yourself so you can move on, while at the same time showing compassion to others. Okay, like in your day to day life. Now, loving yourself. Paraphrasing Nelson Mandela's words, resentment is a poison you consented to drink. Resentments are the weeds you allow to grow in your garden. When you experience resentment, you believe that something you were legitimately entitled to was unjustly taken from you. Okay? For instance, it could be someone else's trust, respect, or love. As a result, you feel as though you have been attacked personally. Resentment will subsist as long as your need for being right and get even is more important than your peace of mind. This is very, very, very important. So you have to prioritize what is more important, peace of mind or being right and get even. Like what I can say, your need for being right or your peace of mind. Obviously you have to prioritize peace of mind, so that you can let go of unnecessary things from your life, and ultimately you'll grow out of it. Okay, so resentment will subsist as long as your need of for being right and get even is more important than your peace of mind. So if this is generally how you know react in your day-to-day life, then resentment is going to be with you for a longer period of time. If you want to quit it, then you have to prioritize your peace of mind. Okay, it'll keep growing as long as you keep feeding the emotion with thoughts of resentment. Okay, and like feeding the emotion with thoughts of resentment means you're putting your energy into it, right? When you're having this thought again and again, let's say you have resentment towards a particular person, or some expectation were not fulfilled the way you thought it should have been, then in this case you have resentment in your mind and you're putting your constant energy to it, then ultimately you're growing it again and again, and it will affect your mental environment. Again, it will be reflected in your day-to-day life as well, in a shorter or in longer term. Okay, which is not good in trading especially, and in day-to-day life as well, because it will stop you from growing, right? And if you want to grow in your life, you have to get out of it as soon as possible, and it will remain as long as you repress it. That's why it's important you make your peace of mind a priority and learn to forgive others as well as yourself. Learn to forgive others as well as yourself as well. Okay, so now loving others part. Your ability to release resentment is linked to your level of compassion. The more compassionate you are, the easier it will be to let go of resentment, right? One important thing to understand is that people always act based on their level of consciousness or unconsciousness. You may wish someone had acted differently toward you, but if he or she didn't, it's probably because he or she was unable to do so, right? So you have to have this clarity in your mind. Thus, rather than saying people are good or bad, it is more accurate to say they're either conscious or unconscious. When they do terrible things to you, it's often because of their lack of consciousness or the negative emotional state they were in at that time. Sadly, most people are deeply conditioned. Their upbringing leads them to act in a certain way. People often act the same way as their parents, which is why you often hear of people who have been abused by their parents becoming in turn abusive with their children. As Eckhart Tolle wrote in The Power of Now, the mind, conditioned as it is by the past, always seeks to recreate what it knows and is familiar with. Even it is if it is painful, at least it is familiar. See the gravity, understand the gravity of it. The mind will recreate what it knows and is familiar with, even though if it is like painful, but still it is familiar. So mind will do it again and again. The mind always adheres to the known, right? The unknown is dangerous because it has no control over it. That's why the mind dislikes and ignores the present moment. And that's why it is very difficult to get out of your comfort zone as well, right? You can relate to it because mind is like, okay, just let it be. Even if it is painful, I am very well aware of it. So I'll be in this state only, right? So you have to kill this instinct in the first place. In short, the nature, if it is, resisting your growth, then you have to kill it as soon as possible. Now, in short, the nature of unconscious human mind is to cling to old patterns and recreate them. Look at your family history and you'll probably notice these patterns. You'll see how people are conditioned. This shows how difficult it is for people to break free from such patterns. I used to resent my mother for being overly protective. I blamed her for not encouraging me to grow, but instead her actions made me weaker than I already was. This is very common in Indian households as well, right? If you can relate to it, at least in my case, right? I'm not saying that my mother stopped my growth, but yeah, she is always overly protective about me, which every mother in this world is, right? Perhaps it was one of the reasons I embarked on a personal development journey. However, I realized she didn't have any bad intention. See, intent is very important. If you just focus what I can say, your interpretation on intention of the other person, then you'll get so much of clarity and you'll make your life very easy. Trust me, I have done this. Like I did it many a times and I'm still trying to inculcate it fully in my mental environment. She simply meant well and did the best she could to the best of her knowledge, obviously. Right? The point is, people do what they can with what they have based on who they are and how much they have been conditioned. They make tons of mistakes as well. We all do. And it's part of being human, right? One of the most ridiculous thing we try to do as human beings is to want to change the past. What happened in the past was supposed to happen because it did happen. Now the question is, what are you going to do about it? How to deal with resentment, right? How we can deal with it. To start letting go of resentment, we will discuss the importance of changing, re-evaluating your interpretation, confronting the situation, forgiving, breaking free from identification, and forgetting. Stop repetition. Resentment results from your interpretation of something that happened to you. This interpretation leads you to feel betrayed and to experience anger or even a desire for revenge. By revisiting the scene in your mind, you allow resentment to build, and because you avoid confronting the situation or person at the root of your resentment, the emotions continues to grow. To prevent resentment from building, it is necessary for you to reevaluate your interpretation of what happened while confronting the situation or person you resent. After doing this, you must be willing to forgive and release your resentment. Finally, you must choose to forget. This entails not replaying the scene in your mind over and over again. Now, first thing, how can we do that? First thing is changing, reevaluating your interpretation. To put things into perspective, it is important for you to look at your interpretation of what happened. Might you have over dramatized the situation? Is it possible you misinterpreted something? Ask yourself what exactly happened. After you remove your interpretation, only the hard facts will remain. Looking at what really happened may provide you with valuable insights, allowing you to replace your current interpretation with more empowering one. Okay, so this is something that you can do in the first place. Confronting the situation. If your resentment is directed toward people, perhaps you need to have an honest discussion with them and share how you feel. Often, resentment builds up when you don't share your feelings with the person you resent. This is often due to fear of appearing vulnerable, fear of hurting the other person, or fear of negatively impacting your relationship with that person. If you can't talk to that person directly, an it alternative it to write a letter. If even if you don't send it now, I have a lot of memories to this part, writing a letter, right? If you don't send it, the simple act of writing the letter may help you release some of your resentment. Now this is the important part, journaling again. You can just put your feelings out in a piece of paper. If you feel like sharing this to the other person, then good to go. Even if you'll not share it with the other person, you have already released some part of your what I can say resentment to the piece of paper. So you are at a better place, right? Better than before for sure. Now forgiving. Now you have found a channel to express yourself. You can start to forgive. You have looked at the hard facts and re-evaluated your interpretation. If needed, you had an honest discussion with the person you resent. You did what you had to do and can now let go. Once you are done with all the things, like journaling it, confronting it, like first of all, you removed the interpretation part and you thought about only the hard facts. After that, you either confront the other person or you wrote down all the things in the like a piece of paper, or you basically journaled. You did the journaling part. After that, the third part is forgiving. Okay, you did your part. Now all you can do is forgive. Think of the negative consequences created by resentment. Write down how it affects your happiness and peace of mind. Remember, resentment is the result of your attachment to the past. Forgiveness is simply reconnecting with the only thing that is real, the present, while forgetting about what isn't real, the past, then release it. Imagine how your life would be and how you would feel once you have let go of the resentment. Do it right now, then let go. Forgive. Remember, forgiving is an act of self love. You forgive not just because you have compassion, but because you value your happiness more than anything else. I want to read it again because this is the crux of what we are trying to understand in this chapter. You forgive not just because you have compassion, that means not for the other person, but because you value your happiness more than anything else. By giving yourself the peace of mind, you are focusing on your happiness, which is again good, which is like a win-win situation for both the person you resent and you as well. Because as soon as you'll forgive the person you resent, then he or she is also at a better place. Now you let go of this emotion from you, that means you're also at the better place. You got the mental peace, at least in this part, right? As you forgive, you let go of the attachment to your story and you distance yourself from the thoughts related to it. To let go of resentment, you can use this 5-step process introduced in the section letting go of your emotions. We have covered it already, right? Now the last one is forgetting. In case if you have missed this, letting go of emotion part, then make sure that you are following the series ardently. You can check out the previous videos as well. There is this playlist as Master Your Emotion. You can search in it and you'll get it. Okay. Forgetting. Finally, forgetting is when you stop entertaining thoughts of resentment and simply move on. Now, initially you will find it very hard, but you have to consciously try to do it. Like forgetting, right? That means whenever you feel like putting your energy into that thought of past, some event is again trying to replay in your mind, you have to consciously stop it. Okay, and after a period of time, you will see that you have simply moved on from this situation. Okay, because you have taken out the energy from that event. Now it is somewhat in your subconscious mind, and now it it do not have a lot of energy in it, and now you have finally moved on, right? Finally, forgetting is when you stop entertaining thoughts of resentment and simply move on. When such thoughts arise, let them go. Over time they will lose their power. Okay, now by this we are coming to the end of this chapter. A very interesting question is waiting for you in the comment section, so make sure you're checking it out and giving your responses to it. Right, let me see how you deal with this particular situation. Okay, accept that, make sure that you are subscribing to the channel, make sure you're giving your answers, your thoughts into the comment section, and that will help me and you build out of it. Okay, and grow together. All right, so thank you so much everyone, thank you so much universe, thank you so much Radha Ranji. Peace out.